Have you tried meditation but just had this nagging feeling the whole time like you're doing something wrong? You felt frustration, you felt these challenges, and you feel like even though you're putting in the time that you should be, you're not seeing the inner peace, you're not seeing the sort of transformation that you hear so much about in the meditation marketing. Hello, I'm Rob Phillips, and welcome to my channel. So if you're feeling frustration in your meditation practice, trust you're not alone. As a meditator for almost 20 years and a teacher for the last 15, these sort of struggles are common, not just in my own past, but in the experience of so many of my students. And unfortunately, these feelings of frustration are a reason why so many people give up before they really start to see the power of these practices and the benefit that they can give you. So today I'm going to unpack several of the common obstacles that get in the way of meditation practice and might cause someone to quit before they've even really started. I'm going to give you practical tips for how to work with them so that when they show up, you'll know how to handle it. As always, if you have questions about these videos, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you are not already. And so the first and probably the most common reason that I see people give up on their meditation practices is that they come to it with an unrealistic set of expectations. So, because of marketing and because of pop culture, we have this image of the Zen monk just sitting peacefully on the mountaintop, or we think that once we learn a few techniques, we'll be able to instantly let go of all our stress and things like that. Of course, these things are possible, but they're really the result of long time spent in dedicated practice. We need to show up again and again, and we actually need to work through some of these more challenging aspects of our practice before we can get into what is the popular image. And so I think it's important to reframe our practice in the first place with the expectation that it's probably going to be challenging for the first little while, but working with a sense of faith and understanding that over time, if we do keep working with these things, we can find that clarity. We can find the more kind of rewarding side of the practice. A second common reason why people might give up, and this is really kind of a direct result of the first one, is that they come into a sense of self-doubt, or they start to question whether the practice is even working in the first place. And so when we're sitting, when we're in our practice, if we feel like the mind is going crazy, if we feel like the mind is wandering, the body is uncomfortable, these less pleasant things that do show up for us, we start to doubt ourselves and we start to think that maybe we're just not even ready for meditation in the first place, or maybe it's just never going to work for us. I can't tell you the number of times I've talked to people and I tell them I teach meditation and they're like, oh, I tried that, but it really just didn't work for me. This is unfortunate because I think people need to understand that that feeling of self-doubt is actually, again, part of the process. So we need to put some faith in the practices themselves, and we need to understand that thinking that things aren't going well, thinking that things are challenging along the way, are the work of the practice. It's only by seeing these tendencies and actually allowing these tendencies to show up that we can see the transformation. The lesson here is when we attach ourselves to these impressions of ourselves, when we attach ourselves to our doubts and our insecurities, that's actually feeding the restlessness of the mind. Whereas if we can see these things and we can over time step back and just let them be, that is where we find the clarity and the relief from these practices. Now, a third reason why people might quit their meditation practice, and this one is near and dear to my heart, is that they feel a strong discomfort in their bodies. Now, of course, most of the time we sit in chairs, we allow ourselves to move whenever we want, and so many people are just tight in a general sense even before they start their meditation practice. So we can expect for physical discomfort to arise, right? Now, like so many of the things I'm saying in these lists, physical discomfort in the body is on some level an inevitable part of the practice. It's part of the work that we do in terms of learning to be mindful with whatever arises. Having said that though, my philosophy of practice and what I offer on this channel, what I offer in my programs, is what I call embodied mindfulness. And this is the idea of using physical practices to not just relax the body, but to help open us up, to prepare us for deeper meditation. And so this is where a practice like yin yoga can be invaluable. And I, of course, have dozens of videos on this channel that you can check out. So in yin yoga and practices like it, we are relaxing the body. We are opening things up so that we can sit more comfortably in our meditation practice. But what's more, when practiced in the right way, these become a direct extension of the meditation itself. And this is actually what I talk about in my free course, the Embodied Mindfulness Method. So check that out down below if you're curious to learn more about it. But really the idea is the physical practices support and become a part of our meditation practice. And so I would highly recommend that you incorporate some physical work to prepare the body for your seated posture, so that in this way, when discomfort does arise, it's not so much of a problem. You don't feel quite so stuck in it along the way. And the fourth and final primary reason that I would like to discuss here has to deal with how long the process of meditation can take. So, in our society, we are promised quick fixes all the time. We're promised that we can get 8-minute abs or we can get whatever the results are, right? Unfortunately, mindfulness and meditation, I found, is just not something that we can really rush. Of course, having great teachers, of course, having good techniques can streamline the process, can make it more smooth, but it's not something that we can do in just a few sessions. It's something that we need to commit to over the long term. And as I've been hinting at, really through all of these reasons, with each step of the process, with each moment that we are working with these various challenges, that is the practice itself, and that is the work that we are doing. And I promise, having worked with thousands of students over the years, if you can commit to this, if you can keep showing up, if you can keep starting over again and again, you will start to see the results from your meditation practice. And so now that we've discussed some of the common challenges and pitfalls that you might experience along the way as you are developing your meditation practice, let's go over some practical tips that you can use to help build the momentum that is where you'll start to really see the transformation from this sort of work. So the first one that I would like to give you is to make it a non-negotiable daily habit, but with the qualification that this can be an extremely small practice. So please understand that while longer practices, of course, can be more powerful, even just taking 1 minute, 5 minutes, even just taking a few deep mindful breaths is establishing you in a routine of showing up, in a routine of doing your practice itself. And so the idea is that even when life gets really crazy, even when you feel distracted, if you make that commitment to show up every day, and if you give yourself permission to let your practice session be much smaller, this is where the work will start to build the momentum. And I think you'll find that if you can make time for 5 minutes, it's pretty likely you can make time for 10 minutes. If you can make time for 10 minutes, maybe you can make time for even more. From the momentum, we start to see the results of practice. And the more we start to see this momentum build, the easier it will be to stick with the practice over the long haul here. Now, a second point, and this is related to the last one, is try to make your meditation a part of your routine. So we know from the psychology of forming habits that if we can anchor our meditation practice to something else that we are already doing, this will be a surefire way for you to make it this non-negotiable daily habit for yourself. So common times that my students have worked with are perhaps first thing in the morning, maybe they make some coffee and then immediately after that they sit, perhaps after breakfast, depending on your schedule, could work as well. Other common ones that tend to work well are perhaps first thing when you get home from work, before you get sucked into TV or chores or whatever you do. Or similarly, even later than that, you could meditate right before you go to bed. Turn off all your screens, take time for that session. But the idea here is you have a set time, it's part of your ritual, and it's anchored with another thing that you're definitely already doing. There's obviously infinite permutations about this, and this will be extremely variable depending on your schedule. But if you can anchor your meditation habit to something else, that's going to make making it a daily habit infinitely easier. A third tip that might help you along the way is to consider using guided meditations. Now, I have to be perfectly honest, guided meditations are a bit of a double-edged sword, and I often do recommend that my students get away from them relatively quickly. Having said that, however, if you're feeling like your mind is just going crazy, if you don't even know what to do, picking a guided meditation can give you the feedback and give you the support you need to make sure that you actually get it done. Now, I have a number of guided meditations here on my channel, so you can check them out, and there's tons of great resources for this. One point I will kind of recommend here is to use like an 80-20 rule. So maybe 20% of the time you use guided meditations, the other 80% of the time you try to do it on your own, because really learning the practices without someone walking you through it are where they start to be so much more valuable than just kind of doing a guided practice every single time. Now, the fourth and final tip that I'd like to give you here, and I've already kind of hinted on this earlier on in the video, is to use your meditation practice in conjunction with a yin yoga or physical practice. So for example, if you took one of the yoga practices here on my channel, you could do a meditation session immediately after that, and I will say that your body will be profoundly prepared in that moment. You've already have built some mindfulness, you'll already have relaxed through physical tension. This might enable you to get deeper in your meditation session and to start see some of the tangible results that will keep you motivated to go on with it in the future. As I said before, this is really the backbone of my more premium programs, as well as the free course, the Embodied Mindfulness Method, down below. So if you want to get a taste of what this is like, again, check out that link. This is really my core philosophy of combining the physical and the mental so that we can really streamline the results of both. And so now that we've discussed some of the more practical aspects around practice, I want to come back here and to really say in no uncertain terms, as much as this practice can be challenging, as much as it's not natural for most of our lifestyles, these practices are one of the most rewarding things you can do for yourself. Because of meditation, I've learned to let go of stress and anxiety. I've learned to be more present and connected in each moment. If you're feeling that doubt, if you're feeling the frustration, come back and remind yourself why you might try these practices in the first place. They truly can be transformative and they truly can help you to thrive in this life. And so as a final point here, I want to remind you that meditation is a practice. And just like everything else that we use the word practice for, this implies a sense of consistency and implies the idea of repetitions over time. You wouldn't pick up a cello and immediately expect to play like Yo-Yo Ma, would you? Meditation is not so different. So with each time that you practice, with each time that you show up, you are building this new skill. You're training your mind to work with the challenges that arise. And that is the power of finding a meditation practice for yourself. And so have you had any challenges in your meditation practice that I didn't mention in this video? Please let me know in the comments down below. As I've said a few times, if you want more specific guidance in starting your meditation practice, check out my free course, the Embodied Mindfulness Method. I'll put a link down below. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. And if you are not already, subscribe to my channel for more yin yoga practices, more insights on meditation and living a more mindful life.